So, Case, who's your number one team right now? Who's been winning the offseason, in your opinion?
Man, it's funny that I said that these guys won the draft, or at least were winners from the draft. And now I'm also going to say that they're kind of winning the offseason here, and that's the Columbus Blue Jackets. Corey Morel right now is absolutely thrilled. You know that. But it mostly has to do with the one signing, and that's Johnny Gaudreau, getting him for 7 years at $9.75 million. Talk about image and culture and a team that's been struggling with that, in that they've been losing a lot of big players in the last decade, like Panarin walking and Officer Bob leaving, and then losing guys like Duchesne after making a big push for them. It's like, it seemed like pretty bleak in Columbus in terms of holding on to big names, but they just landed the big fish, and the guy left money on the table in multiple teams to go there. So that is saying a lot, and that is huge going forward. Not to mention the fact that instantly after, they were able to lock up Patrik Laine for 4 more years. And maybe the most impossible thing in this whole scenario is they've made Patrik Laine excited to play hockey. I didn't think anyone could do that. His quote here is, "I don't think I've ever been this excited to play hockey and maybe be able to play with this kind of guy." That's huge. And they got him for 4 years at $8.7 million, which compared to other guys signing in this league, that's pennies for a guy who can score 40 goals at will, especially playing with a guy like Johnny Gaudreau. I wouldn't be surprised if Laine could put up 50 this year, or at least come close to it. And then, you know, they locked up Boqvist for 3 more years at $2.6 million. Huge ceiling on that guy. But then they had a couple weird moves for me.
Glad you're bringing it up.
Bjorkstrand wasn't very exciting for me. They didn't get a lot in return for a guy who could really put the puck in the net. He's known as the Devils killer. In 19 games, he has 12 goals against the Devils. I actually am scared every time he's on the ice. And then they signed Goodbranson for 4 years at $4 million. So those are 2 questionable moves, but it doesn't matter. Like, wipe that clean when you sign Johnny Gaudreau for that price.
100%, Case, and I'm glad you brought that up, because Columbus was a team, you know, that we talked about when we were talking about the draft. Like, I think I posted that reel of us talking about Columbus winning the draft, and I think I captioned it like they won the draft and the offseason, because that was the day that Gaudreau signed. And so that makes up for some of the other moves, like getting the big fish. Like, I totally agree, that's incredible. It's incredible for the team, incredible for the culture, being able to get Laine done as well and getting him pumped to play. You know, I think his quote, he said something like his hands were shaking, like getting ready to play, because he was so excited, right? And think about, honestly, like, and this is a bit unrelated, but think about guys like like Mark Scheifele and Kyle Connor and Nick Ehlers and Blake Wheeler, when Laine says that quote, "I'm excited to play with this kind of talent." It's like, Patrick, you were there and you didn't really like it, and now, you know, that's a slap in the face, considering they lost the PLD trade as well. So Winnipeg's just in shambles.
Well, you knew that was kind of a slap at the guys to Winnipeg, but we already heard all of the rumors about how they were in the dressing room and that they didn't get along. So it was like not a surprise at all to hear him say stuff like that.
100%. I'm glad you brought up the signing though of Goodbranson, because that, for me, that made no sense. They essentially chose Goodbranson over Bjorkstrand because they had to move Bjorkstrand's money out to accommodate the other signings once they already had Goodbranson done to his deal. And so that, to me, was a bit, you know, is kind of poor asset management, in my opinion. I didn't love the value that they got in return, especially considering like some of the other value plays that we've seen this year. But, you know, overall, I tend to agree. Like, they had a pretty good offseason, and I'm excited to see what they look like on the ice, to be honest, because, you know, this team could do a lot.
Their center depth does not scare me in the slightest, but I am excited to see what this team could do. And don't get me wrong, like, Goodbranson's definitely a guy I would like to have on my team. He's huge. He plays well on his own end. He's like one of those guys that you'd want to pair with a young, kind of offensively gifted defenseman, like they did with Will Butcher and Ben Lovejoy back in the day, for an example. But you know, put Goodbranson with Boqvist, although I believe they're both right-handed, so I don't know how that works out. But like, yeah, I want him on my team. $4 million for 4 more years at 30 years old. Don't think I want that, though.
Yeah, and I think at the time they did the deal, they probably didn't realize that they were going to be that close to signing Gaudreau. You know, like they probably didn't think that they would have to move money out after the fact. They probably thought, okay, we can get a player who wants to play here for an extended period of time, which you've mentioned is a problem in Columbus, or was a problem. And they're like, listen, if we can get a guy, might have to overpay him a bit, but he's going to stay here and he's going to be serviceable, etc. So I didn't hate the deal when it was done. I thought clearly it was an overpayment, but Columbus is just looking to build it up as their young guys come through. So,
and like you said, they actually needed to move cap after all of this, so they got rid of Bjorkstrand almost instantly after they went over the cap, and he kind of, I guess, was worked out of the top 6 wingers due to the moves. But I would have liked them to pick up a centerman, trading Bjorkstrand, and really kind of work on that center position, because they're struggling there. But all in all, Columbus has to be happy right now.
Yeah, 100%.